Hey y'all, and welcome to episode 5 of the Bean Queen Chronicles. Now, I'm going to talk to you about something I heard on the news last night and heard little bitty blurbs about it this morning on the radio while I was getting Bubba ready to school. This is a Mississippi state flag. And the mayor of the city of Biloxi, Mississippi, has decided he no longer wants the Mississippi state flag to be displayed in front of city buildings because of the Confederate flag being on that flag. Many states in the South have changed their flag to not have any of the Confederate flags, which I kind of think is dumb. Georgia, one time, I don't know if they've changed it or not, but Georgia at one time did have the Confederate flag on their flag as well. And to me, the Confederate flag being on your state flag, if you were a member of Confederacy, you know, that's part of your history. You need to not erase it. You need to learn from it. You know, the Civil War was an ugly part of our history. It was not fought solely on slavery, but slavery is the issue that gets the big push, okay? And slavery is wrong, but whitewashing history is wrong too. You need to learn from prejudices, from racism and things like that. I, as a woman from the South, surprise, surprise, am descended from at least 4 people that I know fought in the Civil War. And of those families, only 2 of them I know had slaves. They were more about states' rights. I am a proponent of states' rights. I think certain things should be left up to the state and federal government needs to leave things alone, such as schools and different things like that. I mean, I'm from the South. I'm proud to be from the South. I mean, where else could you have a baseball team with a name like the Montgomery Biscuits? Get some butter biscuits! But, at any rate, you know, like I said, the state of Georgia had at one time the Stars and Bars on their state flag too. I'm not really sure if it has been changed. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me the most, and I think they need to apologize to the whole United States, is the fact that Jimmy Carter came from there. I'm just saying, he was one of the not best presidents we've ever had. You know, and people like me, white people from the South, things get made as assumptions about, you know, and we assume things about Yankees, especially us living where we live. We live not far from the beach, so we have a lot of what we lovingly or not so lovingly call snowbirds. Okay, just because people are from up north doesn't mean they're rude. Lots of them are. I've met a lot of them. Just because people are from the South doesn't mean that they're hospitable. I've met lots of those rude Southerners. In fact, I could be a rude Southerner if I'm provoked. But what I will tell you is, I mean, I think that it was fitting Monday. A lot of our snowbird Northerners, Yankees, retirees that come down south for the winter because they can't handle the snow, left to go back home. And Monday was Confederate Memorial Day. It was also Bubba Ray's 11th birthday. Happy birthday, Bubba Ray! Yay! But I just really, I got to talking about one of my mama's Yankee friends, snowbird friends. The fact that, you know, I like them, which is very hard for me to do because I am prejudiced. I'm not racist. I am very prejudiced against Northerners because I have met so many rude ones in my life to the point where it has gotten to be a stereotype. That's wrong. I know it's wrong, but that's okay. I know it's wrong, and God's working on that with me. But I also know that there are rude. They have a PhD in rude Southerners. You know, prejudice is one of those things you don't think you're prejudiced until you get to really defining it. You know, and I define prejudice in this way. If somebody has an unfair advantage at work, whether it's pay rate or being considered for a promotion, just solely based on the fact of their gender, race, or religion, or sexual preference, then that is prejudice to me. Okay, I have admitted that I'm prejudiced against Yankees, carpetbaggers. We'll use the old term. We'll use carpetbaggers. With this week being Confederate Memorial Week, I think it's fitting that we use the old terms, carpetbaggers and scallywags. Carpetbaggers are people from generally up north that came during Reconstruction and took advantage of poor white Southerners that had been left destitute by the ravages of the war. And scallywags are Southerners that did the same thing, but they did it to their fellow Southerners. And we still have scallywags around. We still have dishonest people around. We still have carpetbaggers. I mean, I live about an hour away from the Gulf. So, I mean, that's probably the reason I think that North Alabama is so much prettier than South Alabama, because I've been around the beach all my life, and I've kind of gotten tired of sand getting into every orifice of my body. Sand does not taste good, neither does the salty seawater of the Gulf, and forget about what it does to my beautiful green hair. Y'all just forget it. But that's why God made men smart enough to do pools. But Gulf seafood tastes, there ain't nothing like fresh caught wild Gulf shrimp. There's just nothing like it. But at any rate, y'all, I wanted to address prejudices because, you know, I've been looking for a job, and I am a woman. I am a white woman from the South. I am a Baptist. So, you know, well, first I'm a Christian. Second, I'm a Baptist because my theology lines up with the Baptist more than it does any other denomination that's out there. But I experience prejudice because people think I'm racist. I mean, I didn't like President Obama, but I didn't like him not because he was black. I didn't like him because I didn't like his policies. I didn't think it was good for America. And I experienced prejudice because I am a woman that has one of the two forms of cerebral palsy. I was born severely dehydrated, which caused some brain damage. Thankfully, I am not mentally retarded, but I am physically retarded. And where my physical retardation shows up most of all is in my fine motor skills, such as writing. Writing is painful. I can write neat for a little bit, but then it ends up looking like a third grader or sometimes even a 3-year-old. And in my looking for a job process, I really have fallen in love with being able to apply for jobs online. But y'all, I just want you to know, until you have walked in somebody's shoes and until you get to know them, you know, whether they're from the North or the South, which I have a tough time with because I have preconceived stereotypes. I think everybody does if we're really and truly honest with each other about how people act. I mean, you know, my mom She doesn't as much as other people do. And she has made great friends out of these snowbirds. I never would have, because I'll see car tags, from certain places. Hey, they're rude. They're rude. Just stay away from them. And I've seen people act like children. I've seen people go into a store and employees ask them for help or ask them if they can help them. And those people are like, how dare you look at me? Preceded by talk that's worse than most sailors I've ever met. And remember, I was brought up in a military family. But, stereotypes are stereotypes. And, people are worth your time. Give them a chance. But Georgia, y'all need to apologize for Jimmy Carter. Mississippi, Biloxi, whitewashing the fact that you were in a Confederate state. Just, that makes no sense at all. Learn from your past. Appreciate your past. There are things in my past I wish I could change. But, I sugarcoat them. But I don't totally erase them, because then how am I serving God by not giving Him the credit for the things He has delivered me from? Thank you, and goodbye. Missing text from Sissy.